And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Covering the Fantasia Film Festival 2020. Here's a little picture of the graphic. Where to check it out, go to fantasiafestival.com to check out the virtual edition of Fantasia this year, including The Prophet and the Space Aliens. And I have the director, Yoav, right here. Dude, how the hell are you?
Hey Ryan, great, and you?
I'm awesome. And you want to know why I'm awesome? Because not only is Fantasia my favorite festival kicked in again, but frankly, you're the first film I saw this year. And it reminded me why I love this festival to begin with. But I got to say that I've seen a lot of documentaries, and what I like about yours is it is incredibly well directed, well paced, and well edited. Because I had three different feelings of emotion when watching it. You have this, well, you know what? To tell everybody watching this, we should probably show them a trailer just to see what the heck we're about to talk about. So, everybody, here is The Prophet and the Space Aliens trailer. Check it out.
Good morning.
I always say to the Iranian, you have the privilege to live at the same time as your prophet. Like the privilege of the people who were alive at the same time of Jesus, or Moses, or Buddha. Wow.
How are you?
His silence itself is a teaching. Even you just looking at his eyes, you feel light, love, warm.
This one is for you.
Et le dernier prophète s'appelle Raël. Et un prophète, il a un disciple.
So right now, Raël is the only prophet on earth?
From what I understand, yes.
Action! I wrote a synopsis to make a movie, not something cheap, in plastic, something between Star Wars and the Bible and the Ten Commandments. So it's a kind of wow.
Claude, they took him to their planet.
I was constantly thinking, am I dreaming?
It's possible to discredit almost everything that anybody thinks about anything.
What if it's true?
All right. So, watching that trailer, but especially watching the movie, what I love about your film is that you start off really showing what his religion does and his worldwide appeal and the people that his ideals are affecting. So you don't really tell us where he comes from in the beginning, at least. And you really makes it seem like, wow, this is this legit thing that's happening. People in Africa's lives are improving because of it. And then kind of like, and not to spoil anything, everybody, but like I said, this movie gave me three different feelings. I'm like, wow, this guy seems like a really nice guy. And it's all this work. But wait a second. And I love how that movie like really started to show, and you started to show where he comes from, his interpretations of things, other people's. I absolutely love this. How did this project come into your life?
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a little bit of a spoiler as well, but few years ago, just out of the blue, I received this email telling me that I was selected as an honorary guide of the alien movement, which I never heard about before.
Okay.
At first, I kind of like, okay, what's going on? And then I Googled them, and I saw what's going on. And being a documentary filmmaker, it's kind of like when such an opportunity knocks on your door, you open the door and let it into your life. And that's what I've done. And growing up in Israel, in a place which is kind of like the ground zero of religions, I was always very curious about religions, about how they evolved, about all the different aspects of religions. And I thought that maybe through this really kind of like very young sect or religion, also the films deal with that. What is a sect? What is a religion? You kind of like maybe learn something bigger about religions in general, about faith, about beliefs, about these sort of things.
Yeah. I gotta ask, Do you know if Rael, the prophet in question, has that this movie is based off of? Has he seen this movie?
So yeah, that's a that's a good question. And actually, yesterday he seen the film for the first time.
Yesterday.
And yesterday, and as part of the Q&A, which we're going to have after the screening on Sunday at 5 o'clock Canadian time. So they're going to screen some of the interview that Celia from Fantasia made with him, and it's going to be very surprising. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I
Okay.
mean, if you're going to watch the film, tune into the Q&A because just just do it.
What time is that again? 5 p.m.
It's 5 o'clock on Sunday, the 23rd.
Okay, cool. I'm writing it down right
And
now. I just want to make
it's a
sure.
one screening, it's a one live screening, and that's it. So it's not going to be like a VOD. Some of the films are going live, and some of the films are VOD. So this is like one of the live screenings.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody you should not miss, because this film is it takes you on a journey. Like, you go a fluff piece expose, like his reach is insane about how many followers he has, and it takes you to multiple countries. Do you have any interesting stories about pursuing the coverage you got?
Yeah, well, so I mean, what first got me interested? So it's hard to talk about the film without doing a little bit of spoilers. So, but when I first met them, they told me about this hospital they're going to open up in Burkina Faso in West Africa it's gonna reconstruct clitoris of women that had gone FGM, female genital mutilation, which I thought is kind of like insane. This type of like cult or religion who believes in free love is going to go into the heart of Africa, to a Muslim country, and do that. I thought this is something that I just have to film. And there was a lot of issues around this project that they did. So that was kind of like one of the interesting places that I've been through while making the film.
I gotta say, were you always going to be, a subject in your own film, doing the narration, having yourself on camera, or did you find that you had to do that eventually to kind of sew the story together?
So I mean, I made already, like, this is my seventh like feature documentary, and in some of the films I'm present, and in some of the films are strictly verite type of like fly on the wall films. With this film, because I had kind of like a special access, and I thought that the backstory of how I got to know them, and the sort of like the special access that I had was interesting for the film, because it's an unusual type of like cult film, because a lot of the times, with these like films about cults, and we've seen quite a few of them in recent years, it's always been made after the leader is dead, and then you talk to a bunch of followers, and then they tell you how great it was, and then how disillusioned they are. It's almost like a formula. And here, I think because Rael is alive, and I managed to kind of like spend time with him in his house, playing petanque with him, traveling with him to different places. So I thought that my presence is essential for the storytelling. I mean, I'm not Michael Moore or one of these filmmakers that really, kind of like build their whole cinematic persona on being in front of the camera. But I thought that in this film, it's going to be like a big help, and plus will help me tell the story in a faster pace and in a more engaging way. I hope it works.
It does work. In fact, when you see the first shot of yourself, I'm like, now that looks like a happy young man. I'm glad he's telling me this story, and it kind of helps the viewer identify. And I also kind of like that you made this film not as a follower of his religion, because you could look at things in a more biased sense. Like, you could always tell when something's made. In fact, you show clips that that has been made by the followers of his religion. So it's almost kind of like when you're standing outside of this stuff, you're like, boy, some of this seems so ridiculous, but look how happy everybody is. But there's this part of me that always is kind of skeptical about things. I like we said, I don't want to give too much away, but I do suggest anybody at the Fantasia Film Festival. These tickets are not expensive, and there's only so few to go around, but they have a lot of places. Definitely check out this movie, because if you like learning and you like great editing, check this movie out, because what you and your crew did, just adding a little bit of music here, a little bit of tones, the abrupt cuts from a very happy-go-lucky scene that has a soundtrack to a cold hard interview to somebody who's not a believer, I thought was just, as an editor myself, I thought was absolutely amazing. Who edited this project?
So we had two great editors, one Austrian, Ron Stuttinger, and one Israeli, Neta Dvorkis, both great editors with a great track record. Both of them had films in Berlin, in Sundance, and so forth. So I was very lucky with the editing team, and thank you. I'm glad you liked it, and I will tell them how much you enjoyed the editing.
Absolutely, I've been editing for 16 years, and I can appreciate the when it comes to imagination and an understanding of pacing, how well this film is actually made. And I myself, I'm really glad that the way you paced it, where in the beginning you're like, look how far this guy, look at this guy, look at everyone that likes him, look what he does. Like we're talking about going to Africa and them trying to repair clitorises that have been cut off due to religion over there. And then you showed us where he came from. You showed us the deity that his followers think of him as, but then you showed the human. Was that a decision already, or did you have to really figure that out in post, that that's the way you wanted to tell the story?
Yeah, I mean, it was because it is a film about someone that most people throughout the year portrayed as a cult leader, and a very notorious one. And when he was living in France and in Canada, he had like a really bad reputation. This was the guy that everybody loved to hate. I can understand that, because, all of a sudden someone's come and say, I met extraterrestrials, and he puts himself on the same level as Jesus and Moses and Buddha and all these kind of like great guys, and he kind of like doesn't feel inferior to them, so it's annoying, also for me at first. I thought it was, and then I decided, okay, let's kind of like, let's take a step back. I'm kind of like, I'm not a religious guy. I'm an atheist myself, in the way I look at the world, the way I see things. Let's give him a fair chance, as I would give any other religious leader or any other prophet that I would have followed, like in real time. So let's say I was fortunate enough to be able to be alive and to have the technology and to be able to document Jesus or Moses or any of these other guys. I mean, what would it be like, and especially what scenes they would not be happy with me filming? That's another big question, because eventually, now that we kind of like read all these kind of like ancient scriptures, what is written there is what they wanted us to know. But here, making a documentary, which always kind of like, you have like this privileged access of the behind the scene of the stuff that they would prefer you to leave out, that's a very interesting perspective. So I was fortunate enough to kind of like have the access, be there with my team. I had like also a great camerawoman, Tanya, who made a fantastic job. Tanya Izikovic, a great camerawoman. And, we were very lucky, I think, to be there as things took place, as like recording the history of this very young religion or cult or whatever you want to call it.
Well, considering some religions are thousands and thousands of years old, it is definitely a young religion, and it's been going on about 40 years, right?
Yeah, something like that. It started off at, his first encounter was the end of 73, and then it took a little bit some time to take off, but you can say 74 was the kind of like the starting point.
The thing I found fascinating about the subjects you were interviewing is that well, actually, no. You know what? I retract this, because everybody, if you want to know the wicked question I was about to ask, you got to go check out that movie that's premiering only once, live on Sunday at 5 o'clock at check it out on fantasiafestival.com for details. I am just making sure that we are not running out of time. We are just about out of time. Okay, we have like 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask you something really cool before we go. I actually I just want to bring up something quick. I was watching it and I was kind of remembered. I read a lot about rock and roll stars and the mysticism around them, and that there's always kind of like, even Elvis Presley had his Memphis Mafia around him that was kind of like protecting him, doing things, giving people hush money, all that kind of stuff. Whenever Elvis would kind of go off the rails, he'd have all these people around, and they always kind of wanted to be. They never wanted to be without him because they were scared to get left behind. And you mentioned that every time he was on camera up until the end of the movie, he always had people around him, and you were worried like maybe he might say something, maybe he might make us look bad in some kind of way. Was it really hard to get access to him in that final scene?
I mean, it was a process. It took him some time to kind of like to trust me. I mean, I had like a very advantageous starting point as being chosen to be like an honorary guide. So I used the access, I used the opportunity, and then eventually I think also, I mean, you have to remember his position. This is like, and it's true not only for someone who's like a cult leader or religious leader. Anyone with like in high position is being surrounded with people who, like, a lot of the time, I don't want to say they use the word yes man, but this type of like entourage that kind of like adores him and do what he says. And I think I was there, as an outsider, and we had like, I think, good chemistry, and he just enjoyed spending time, I think, with someone out of this like circle. So once in a while he would kind of like snatch me, and take me like, let's go to the side, let's do this, let's, without this entourage, because I think he was kind of like also enjoying being around someone that is not part of this immediate circle, right? So that was kind of like also, I think, very interesting process for me to look at, and it's incredible because, he's always surrounded with followers and with people who admire him. And then I come along and, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm someone he can like maybe have an honest talk with or open talk with, and was not treating him like a god or something. So I think that's for him. I hope it was also kind of like refreshing, and we actually, I think we hit it off well. We had like some good. It was also fun making the film. It wasn't kind of like it was hard work, which I enjoyed a lot.
I'm trying to fathom. I'm trying to even like think of, if I started, let's say I ran into some space aliens and they told me a message of how to improve humanity, and I created a religion called Ryanism. And for 40 years I only hung out with people who dug Ryanism. How disconnected I must actually be. I think he's actually a pretty nice guy considering the circumstances he has built around himself, for what it's worth.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard, you don't think about like most of the time when we deal with this type of issues, we think about the followers. It's kind of like it's a lonely ride being up there.
Yeah,
you have to stick to a story, and you have a lot of responsibility, and we only look at the women and the nice beach and all of this stuff, but I mean, there's the position of the prophet itself it's a very peculiar one. It's a very interesting one to observe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for speaking with me today. Really appreciate it. I would tell everyone who's willing to listen that this is a very cool doc and something to check out. And I definitely, if I can, want to watch your Q&A, because this sounds like something surreal, man. I'm pretty sure people really like this, especially just everybody out there. Just know that this is a movie done by like someone who is not. You're just showing what's happening. You're not there to fluff them up or take them down. You're just showing how it is what it is. And I really like your approach. I really like your approach to this movie, man. I think so. Congrats to you and your team. And it's a great title, by the way. When I saw the program guide, it's one of the first titles that popped up, and I'm like, oh, what's this? The Prophet and the Space Aliens. Nice, simple, not pretentious, accessible. I dig it, man.
All right, Ryan. So when you start your own Ryanism cult, let me know. I'll come and follow you.
Okay, well,
with the camera, not as a follower, with the camera.
Well, I've been interviewing and doing online stuff for like 10 years. So if no one's following me yet, I'm not sure if they'll be willing to do a religion, nevertheless subscribe to a podcast, but we'll see. All right. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Ryan. That was fun.
Congratulations on a great film, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, bud. All right, everyone. Take it easy. See you soon. Oh, by the way, everybody who is watching or not watching or whatever, the Fantasia Film Festival is going viral this year. Yes, that's right. It's not going to be infectious, but it is going to be online. So if you want to check it out, go to fantasiafestival.com and check out all the great festival stuff that's happening, all the great films. At 4:00, and it's free, is a masterclass with John Carpenter. So that doesn't happen every day. The director of Halloween, Christine, The Thing, Escape from New York, Escape from LA, John Carpenter's Vampires. I mean, he's everywhere. So check out a free talk masterclass with John Carpenter, 4 p.m. Saturday. Go to fantasiafilmfestival.com. Fantasiafestival.com for details. See you guys later. Have a good one.